Hello, I'm Jill HowardAllen. I'm with the Arizona Commerce Authority, and today I'm with
Sergio Gazic. I'm with the Arizona Commerce Authority, and I'm the Bioscience Portfolio Manager for the organization.
Today we wanted to talk about the SBIR program and provide a 101 overview just to give people the basics behind it. What we'll cover today is the why. Why are small businesses interested? Why should they care about the program? And the what. What is the program? How does it work? What all is involved? And then who? Who qualifies? Who are they? What do they look like? And how? How do I go about approaching this, and how do I become successful?
So this is, as Jill said, this is a basic 101 overview of the SBIR and the STTR program. The program is a congressionally mandated, set-aside set of programs that give away a lot of money every single year. Last year in 2015, across all funding agencies, there was about $2.5 billion that was given away to companies. And the primary goal is to make sure that the government engages small companies to come up with potential R&D projects that are going to be commercialized. The money is non-dilutive, so it doesn't take equity out of your company. You also have the benefit that any of the IP that is developed during that time, you don't forfeit to the government, so you get to keep that IP yourself. Once you get this grant, it certainly validates the company on a much higher level, and it provides a sense of credibility. A lot of the companies that we work with that have received these types of grants are able to make it easier to attract further funding, whether it be from angels or VCs. So it definitely provides companies with a large valuation, credibility, and validation. There are a lot of agencies that are able to give this money away. So within the biosciences, certainly the primary tool would be the NIH, the National Institutes of Health, as well as the National Science Foundation. But there are a number of other ones, including some military applications that may be attractive to look at. As I said, the primary goal for this research and R&D efforts is for the commercialization of a product. Now, one of the things that the agencies do provide is quite a bit of assistance. And for example, there's a CAP program, a CAP, or Commercialization Assistance Program, that helps each of the companies commercialize their products. So there's a number of programs that are available. In addition, once you do receive the funding and you commercialize your product, there is something called a sole source provider that is given to the technology. So if a government agency is looking at buying your technology, they're interested in your technology that has received SBIR grants, you're able to get a sole source provider recognition. So that means that you don't have to go for an open contract source. So you don't have to go to the general public to get a bid won. So this is tremendously powerful when you do receive your SBIR grants. The other thing I wanted to briefly mention is and address some companies that we speak to say that, oh, it's too difficult. You know, it's a government contract, so it's certainly much more difficult. And I wanted to share some facts with you. According to some of the figures that we had from a few years ago for Phase 1 awards, so if I take a look at the number of proposals that were received, and this is across all the agencies, to the number of awards that were given, the overall percent of success is about 16%, where it ranged anywhere from a low of 7% success rate to as high as 19%. If you compare that with how easy it is to get, for example, angel investments, what we have found is that 2.8% of those seeking money from angel investors were able to get the funding. So your chances, are still pretty good with trying to get these federal grant monies.
2.8% of angel funding compared to what were those percentages for SBIR proposals?
Across all 11 agencies, it was 16%, and it ranged from 7% to 19%. And the thing that's actually interesting is that the success rate of going to VC funding is even less than the 2.8%. So,
wow. Interesting. So the overview of the SBIR program, or SBIR is Small Business Innovation Research, STTR is Small Business Technology Transfer, is it was set up to meet federal research and development needs. And it was also created to increase private sector commercialization of innovation and to stimulate the technological innovation and encourage entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. And the program, and I'll just call it an SBIR, but it stands for the same as SBIR and the STTR, but it's administered through the SBA, the Small Business Administration. And as I mentioned earlier, there are 11 different agencies that have SBIR grants available. Everybody from the Department of Defense to Health and Human Services, as I said before, the Science Foundation, Institutes of Health, as well as a number of other ones. So there are a number of agencies that are able to give this money out. The topics for each one of these is listed on the individual websites for this, and they're released throughout the year. The frequency and the deadlines vary. And the best place to actually find out information for each one of those agencies and identify which agencies are giving out these topics is through sbir.gov. That's the best resource to identify those agencies and then go into each of the individual topics.
Great. The SBIR program is a milestone-driven award program. It is in 3 phases. The first phase is the proof of concept phase, and that generally lasts around 6 months, and the award amounts vary by agencies, but somewhere around $150,000. And that was non-dilutive funding, right?
Absolutely.
All right.
Yes.
The second phase is the prototype phase, and that is anywhere around $1 million, and that's probably a process that will take about 24 months. The third phase is full commercialization, and this is any money except SBIR funding, which may be a little bit confusing because if it's not SBIR funding, why does it even count as a phase? There are many benefits for the full commercialization, and that money can be maybe angel funding that extends the development and process of your innovation, and it can also be sales. Hopefully it's sales. And that provides benefits on SBIR data rights and other opportunities that can provide leverage and benefit for the small business.
Perfect. So who can qualify to get one of these SBIR or STTR program grants? So for both of those, SBIR and STTR, the same 2 qualifications are required. So it has to be a for-profit company, it has to be U.S. owned and operated, and you have to have less than 500 people working for the company. And the primary focus of the group has to be on performing research and development for the ultimate goal of commercializing a product. The difference between SBIR and STTR is that the STTR program has to include the joint venture between the small business and a nonprofit research institution, which could be a university or, for example, a hospital.
Great. So how does this apply to me? Does it really apply to me? I'm just really a 1-person or 2-person small business. But what does it do? How does it relate to me? Well, I pulled some of the topics from the National Institute of Health, and some of them include novel genomic technology development and approaches for analysis of next-generation sequence data, and innovative technologies to measure and enhance medication adherence in clinical studies. One topic from the USDA is food science and nutrition, and a couple from the National Science Foundation include chemical and environmental technologies and Internet of Things. So those are just some broad range topics, but just to show you kind of some of the breadth that it encompasses for different types of innovation. But you can find more at sbir.gov and check under the funding section search the open topics for those that are open currently to learn more. But then also, I would encourage you to check out the closed topics because you can learn more about what type of funding has taken place in your area of innovation, as well as potentially new agencies or other agencies that you might not have considered that would be interested in your type of innovation.
And what are the dates for that?
The dates for NIH would be September 5th, January 5th, and April 5th. So another thing is, well, these are small businesses that are somewhere else, not in Arizona. But we have one of the biggest success stories here in Flagstaff. It's a company called SenesTech, and they received over $1 million in funding from the National Institute of Health, and their innovation was rat birth control. And what they did is they developed a non-toxic way to help control rat populations without killing them. When you kill rats, just more rats move in, and this allowed them to maintain a manageable population of rats. This is currently being utilized in the subways of New York and Boston. So it's nice to have them represent the state of Arizona and then also to have such a tremendous success. As a matter of fact, they were recognized by the Small Business Administration as a Tibbetts Award winner, which recognizes the excellence and success of commercialization from the SBIR program. This is one of the benefits also of the SBIR program, because what this does is it helps allow these small businesses. Sergio had mentioned the commercialization assistance program, but one of the other benefits is it puts you on a national platform. So this allows you to get your word out about your technology and make connections across the country and not just here in Arizona.
Well, what are the examples of getting that word out? SenesTech was able to be featured on Stephen Hawking's Brave New World TV show because Stephen Hawking thought that this was something of an impact to the global society. In addition, one of the things that was interesting is that the Dalai Lama got interested in that, and he actually monitored some of the trial project that was happening in Tibet.
Awesome.
So, we gave you a very quick overview on the SBIR grant proposal. We have a number of activities that we can do to help support people's applications. We're going to try to give a couple of tips and recommendations on how to make a great SBIR, STTR proposal. One of the first things that I think is really important is to familiarize yourself with the current, as well as what Jill said, the past topics that are being requested. So you really have a better understanding of what is it that the agency is looking for. The other thing that is, I think, really, really important that many people overlook is the importance of talking to that funding agency point of contact. So although it is a government, people do want to hear from you. And as an example, SenesTech said that they couldn't have done it if it weren't for the connections that they had with their point of contact. And they developed a very good relationship that went throughout the phase 1, phase 2, and even today, in terms of following them through with that commercialization assistance program. So that's certainly one of the big helpful tips that I think everyone should take advantage of. The other thing is, not only to be focused on one agency. As I said, there were 11 agencies that have a number of topics. So certainly try to review all of the funding agencies and what's available. Some of the things, for example, Army Medical has a huge number of needs. So you definitely need to take a look at what they are offering and what they have a need for. The other one is USDA in terms of impact to rural communities. Try to make sure you look at what is available that will have a positive impact on the rural communities. The other thing that also is a helpful tip is trying to benefit from the conferences that are available, conferences specifically to SBIR. There's a number of people that attend that, including the program managers, as well as the companies who are interested in partnering up with these topics. So that's certainly one of the things that you should keep an eye out for.
It also allows the opportunity for small businesses to pitch their innovation at these conferences. So it's not only education, but it's an amazing networking resource, and to learn more about some of the larger companies' technology roadmaps and needs, to try to see where there might be some opportunities for you to work together as a partner.
Yeah, good point. And then in addition, keep an eye out for the webinars. There's a lot of helpful resources that are available, and especially through webinars. So make sure to try to keep an eye out for that. And then also learn a little bit more about the funding cycles.
Yes. There are different funding cycles depending on the agencies, and as Sergio had mentioned, being familiar with some of the different agencies helps you identify more opportunities and hopefully provide more successes, and maybe time things based on resources that you have. I know that small businesses are often limited and have bigger projects. This allows you to make sure that you are aware of when those are and take advantage of them where you can.
Absolutely.
Some of the other suggestions and tips would be to make sure that you use the SBIR.gov site and other resources locally, such as the Arizona Commerce Authority and different universities here in the state. Read the directions. That might sound like a very basic thing, but the instructions, directions, and information that they require do change almost every time. So make sure that you read the directions every time. The other thing that's really key here is making sure that you develop enough time for your proposal. It's recommended that 8 weeks is needed to prepare your proposal. And not that you're writing the proposal for that full 8 weeks, but it allows you to take advantage of the time needed to register for the different agencies and sites, because some of those do take time. The next suggestion would be to submit early. Even though the deadline might be September 5th, making a deadline of September 3rd allows you to, one, take care of any errors in the submission process, but then two, pretty much avoid the errors and downtime that the agencies are known for on the day of submission. Even if the website's down, you still have a deadline to get it in, and if it's not working, you're not able to get your hard work put in there. The other thing too is there's some government cost accounting information and requirements that are needed. So make sure that you understand the direct and indirect costs for budgeting, so that you can make sure that you get that you fully understand the costs that are involved in the proposal.
You mean to tell me government is interested in accounting?
Yes, they are, Sergio. So I suggest making sure that you become aware of that. The other thing, and probably one of the topics that's most dear to my heart, is the intellectual property considerations and SBIR data rights. You need to understand the intellectual property that you have coming in to the grant and the intellectual property that will be generated during the grant, and how that fits strategically with your company, and what way is the best way to take advantage and to leverage the value of the program for you.
Absolutely. So I think we gave a number of recommended resources that are available. There's a lot of resources that do want you to succeed. So there's both local as well as national resources. As an example, if you go to azcommerce.com, we have an online tutorial that helps you through this process. A lot of these, most all of them, are free of charge. So definitely try to take advantage of that. We've mentioned the SBIR.gov multiple times. That is a very, very valuable resource for information. And for those folks who are at the universities as well, they have a lot of support network for SBIR grant writing as well. So definitely check things out at your local universities. Certainly our Commerce Authority and Jill specifically has a lot of experience and could help with a lot of the questions that you might have. But there's also trade organizations that may be able to provide assistance, as well as notifications of upcoming support programs like AZ Bio. So if you have any questions, certainly we are here to help, and we'll provide our contact details for you after this is done.
So hopefully today you've learned a little bit more about the why, what, who, and how. I want to make sure that you're also aware of some of our upcoming events with regarding the SBIR program. during the AZ Bioscience Week, September 19th through the 23rd, there will be a program that will be put on with the National Institute of Health SBIR program managers on September 19th and 20th. This is not only a free event, but it also allows small businesses to have one-on-one meetings with these SBIR program managers. This is an amazing and unique opportunity. It's free, so definitely want to make sure you take advantage of that.
And there'll be 3 different program managers coming. So this is not just one person. I mean, there are 3 program managers who really want to see the types of companies, the types of technologies, and give information about the support that they can provide to you to make sure that you can get success in obtaining a grant.
There's also an event coming up October 25th through the 27th with the Navy's Technology Roadmap for Additive Manufacturing and 3D Printing. We'll also be carving out a section on SBIR funding in that space. That is set for October 26th, so make sure you save the date and attend that. Again, another opportunity to meet one-on-one with some of the different agencies under the Navy. And in December, we have the Department of Defense releases their SBIR topics, and the Navy will be presenting their SBIR topics with an opportunity to meet one-on-one with one of the Navy representatives.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to turn it over to you and see if there's any questions you guys might have.
So Jill, before we get to that, I just want to reiterate that event that's happening September 19th and the 20th. So these 3 NIH program managers are going to give a talk first. So day 1 is going to focus on obtaining your first SBIR grant. So they will give their recommendations and overviews of how to get that first grant, and then have a time for one-on-one sessions with each of the 3 program managers. Day 2 will focus on, getting that phase 2, or once you've already received phase 1, and what does it take to get that phase 2. So, I mean, really incredible insight. I really think it's an incredible opportunity for those people interested in the SBIR program, especially as it relates to, NIH and biosciences, that you should take advantage of attending this event. So with that,
what questions might we have? Do you have any questions for us, Brent?
How do I know which agency would be interested in my technology?
That's a good question. What you will want to do is go to the sbir.gov site and search under I would suggest closed topics. And in there, put in some keywords of your innovation and see what topics have been funded under those keyword terms, and that'll provide a listing of the different agencies that would be interested in that. From there, what I would do then is send an email to the point of contact at that agency and find out if this is something that they're still interested in, and provide the information that you had done your research and you're familiar with topics that have been covered in the past and why yours is unique and better.
great question. Any other questions? So thank you. I mean, this is a wonderful new way that we're trying to give out this information. We certainly hold a lot of workshops and seminars, and we try to do these types of overviews. So this is the first time we're doing a casual approach on providing the information.
What's the best way to get in touch with an SBIR program manager?
Best way to get in touch with a program manager is to, if you go to the sbir.gov site, check out the agencies. There's a listing of participating agencies in there, and in those links you'll be able to connect with the agency and find the points of contact within that agency.
And then there's also so if you need some additional assistance in identifying who would be the best person, we could probably send out a email that goes to the agencies, and they will be able to recommend who might be the program manager that would best be able to assist you.
Okay. Any other questions, Brent? All right, great. Definitely let us know what you think. Thumbs up, hopefully, but let us know what was useful and what we could do next time to make it better.
Thanks, Jill.
Thanks, Sergio.
Have a great one.